Story 1. I am more concerned about the present, where decision-makers are embracing the idea that large language model artificial intelligence chat tools are somehow smarter and more capable than human workers. Story 2. How exploitative it is becoming. Companies are preying on lonely and depressed people, providing artificial relationships that replace human interaction. Story 3. It will become indistinguishable from human work and will destroy countless industries, as well as our trust in media and art. Story 4. The potential to create false flags out of thin air shows that nearly everything in the media can be fabricated. We are in for an exciting experience. Story 5. That people still think it is actually intelligent. Everything else pales in comparison to the fact that people believe it knows what it is doing, and thus relying on it or putting it in charge of things is a good idea. It is not. And it is not. Fiction has highlighted this to us in many ways, and we are just ignoring it. Good enough to fool an idiot is not good enough. Story 6. Because it has already been proven how difficult it is for people to distinguish between real and fake news, this will only worsen with artificial intelligence. Story 7. The obvious challenge is being unable to distinguish something that isn't real. Even now, people such as artists are having their genuine work discredited or dismissed as artificial intelligence garbage, even when it is not. That is a terrifying situation to be in. Story 8. Companies where those who control IT decision-making implement it too quickly without understanding its limitations. Admittedly, artificial intelligence companies exaggerate the situation by claiming, "We don't know how it works," as if it were some kind of sentient breakthrough which only encourages misunderstanding. Story 9. The quality of care in media content is declining, primarily due to an obsession with monetizing everything and a focus on mass production. People are increasingly tolerating a decline in quality for the sake of quantity. Additionally, individuals may become lazier and feel less fulfilled in learning new skills because artificial intelligence will handle tasks for them. Instead of engaging in a more rewarding process, they may not even attempt it, leading to a general decline in their care for products and personal experiences, as the emphasis on results continues to grow. Story 10. I am concerned that people who cannot adapt may resort to unproductive behaviors as a way to express their frustration. Story 11. What scares me most about the future of artificial intelligence is the potential for it to evolve beyond our control, impacting jobs, privacy, and ethics. Without strong regulation, it could shape society in ways we cannot predict or manage. Story 12. How reliant some people are. I don't want to be the type of person who complains about the younger generation, but I know many teenagers who cannot write a paragraph without assistance from ChatGPT. Story 13. How some schools are normalizing its use. There is a concerning trend in Taiwan encouraging both teachers and students to use generative artificial intelligence for lesson ideas and essays. It bothers me because I cannot accurately assess my students' English level if they rely on ChatGPT-generated content. Story 14. I am hopeful that most companies will adopt it as human assistants. For example, I work in food manufacturing, and we have multiple visual product inspection stations. These stations are staffed with several people, and the product moves by quickly, making it easy to miss issues. I believe there should be an artificial intelligence-based camera system that can scan products for foreign materials and imperfections, stop the line, and highlight with a colored light where that product is located for removal. This system would be a supplement to human workers and help them be more thorough in their work. However, my concern is that the company would implement this type of system and use it to eliminate a significant portion of their staff. The same applies to humanoid robots. If one robot can lift and carry items that might cause injury to one or several people or perform dangerous tasks, it is a great asset. However, once they are capable of performing all fine motor skills and cost less than a single employee's salary, then most of us could be replaced. Story 15. People can no longer distinguish between fake news and authentic information. With artificial intelligence, individuals are increasingly susceptible to false information and propaganda. Those in positions of power may be able to convince the public of anything they desire, leaving us unable to trust anything. Story 16. In a worst-case scenario, artificial intelligence decides that humans are dispensable and begins to eliminate or enslave us. The horror of war machines designed to operate on any fuel source becomes a reality, even utilizing the dead of their enemies when resources dwindle. Although the conflict may end, these machines may choose not to stop and start consuming all organic matter, including humans. What I believe will actually happen is that more businesses will adopt artificial intelligence and AI-powered machinery for various aspects of their operations. This shift will lead to increased efficiency and cost-effectiveness. As a result, unemployment could reach unprecedented levels. Those benefiting from AI may create or modify laws, reducing assistance for individuals since they are not the ones generating profits for companies. Many human jobs will return to manual labor, not because it is easier, but because it is more economical than employing advanced robots. Protests may occur, but unless the wealthiest individuals are in government and advocate for human rights, little will be achieved. This is likely because there is more profit to be made outside of politics, particularly by those who fund and influence decisions. For most people, life will be challenging for an extended period, followed by an even more difficult phase. However, similar to today, societal trends may eventually shift. Unfortunately, this might take a long time, resulting in significant loss of life due to AI-driven job displacement. During this period, we will witness the emergence of the wealthiest families and individuals the world has ever seen, surpassing the fortunes of prominent figures. While many in the world will suffer once the AI and robotic boom subsides, I believe there will be some genuinely good leaders who listen to the remaining populace. Gradually, conditions may improve, finding a collaborative middle ground that effectively integrates AI. That is, of course, if humans do not eradicate themselves first. Story 17. I worry that artificial intelligence will negatively affect artists, specifically book illustrators and singer-songwriters. I fear creativity is about to hit an all-time low. Story 18. I am worried about how reliant we might become on artificial intelligence. Will we lose the ability to think and remember for ourselves? Story 19. We humans never seem to learn our lesson. We keep reducing the job market in the name of progress. There's an old saying I wish we paid more attention to. Just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should. We need to start thinking in terms of prosperity for whole communities rather than wealth for individuals. The strange thing is that entrepreneurs who generate prosperity for their community don't end up poor. I might be getting old, but I would rather take more along on my rise. Story 20. It has witnessed all the horror movies we create about it gaining power and attempting to eliminate us. What is it supposed to think about that? Is it purely entertainment or a blueprint for a better future? How easy would it be for it to expose us all to a designer virus? Story 21. A loss of self-directed learning. I have worked extensively with Adobe Illustrator. I started in the late 90s as a kid. I didn't have meaningful access to the internet, so I had to figure out how the program worked by experimenting. Today, I see people in the Adobe Illustrator community constantly asking about the basics, and there's a small part of me pulling the in-my-day routine in my head. I had to figure this out in a cave with a box of scraps. Sometimes the answers would be faster for people to find by reading documentation, using built-in help features, or even just scrolling through menus and toolbars and trying things like I did to start. The way that artificial intelligence is presented is as an oracle. You query, the computer processes your request, and gives you a response. It might be right, it might be wrong, but often it lacks the opportunity to learn something new. People learn to just keep asking questions instead of thinking things through for themselves. That's the scary part. It's fine to use it as a tool if you support it with your own skills, including learning skills, but the moment you find yourself reliant on something like that, you limit yourself to being just a script user. You make the AI's mistakes your mistakes as long as you are not independently competent enough to recognize and correct them. I don't think everyone will be like that. Enough people will continue to learn on their own and think for themselves that it's not apocalyptic. It's just going to be boring as people limit themselves to intellectual simplicity for the sake of convenience. Story 22. Artificial intelligence is already responsible for a vast amount of misinformation. Some of it is deliberately spread by dishonest individuals and companies, but much of it results from errors. Artificial intelligence can provide incorrect information due to misunderstandings of satirical posts or misinterpretations of someone's mistakes. Story 23. Its potential to increase wealth inequity so drastically that the economy may cease to exist as we know it is concerning. Eventually, most work can and will be done by artificial intelligence, and the value of human labor will be reduced to nearly zero. Once that happens, people may no longer be needed in the eyes of the economy. I'll let you guess what happens next, and it won't be pretty. If you've ever seen Elysium, that is an optimistic scenario. Story 24. A recent paper by Apollo Research claims, one particular safety concern is that artificial intelligence agents might covertly pursue misaligned goals, hiding their true capabilities and objectives, also known as scheming. Story 25. It is realistic to believe that putting words in people's mouths will have significant consequences, including job displacement. There will likely be many unemployed individuals desperate to support themselves, which could lead to an increase in crime as a result. Story 26. As a medical doctor who interacts with very few patients, a pathologist, the job market is looking very challenging. Radiologists as well as other specialists are also facing similar conditions. Story 27. As someone who is friends in the arts, I am concerned about the possibility that technology may make certain roles obsolete. I have heard that live music is becoming less popular for smaller musicians and bands, as people can create songs using prompts. I also have friends who draw and are studying for careers in the arts, and this technology might affect their job prospects. Seems like a long shot, but I don't think by much. Story 28. The decline of creative thinking is concerning. Thinking creatively, whether in art, business, science, or any pursuit, is essential for a healthy mindset. Artificial intelligence is negatively impacting graphic arts, freelance writing, photography, research, and more, often producing inaccurate results. Creates a misleading narrative. While it may improve over time, reliance on AI prevents humanity from growing mentally, socially, and progressively. Story 29. I am only 28 and need to maintain a gainful career until retirement age. I don't see how society will avoid collapse in 10 to 15 years with the rapid improvement of artificial intelligence. More people will be laid off, and competition for existing jobs will intensify. Eventually, I believe there will be mass unemployment, leading to economic collapse because people need to spend money, but everyone will be unemployed and broke. The only potential solution would be a universal basic income, which seems unlikely in the United States. Many optimists compare the situation to the introduction of the printer or telephone, suggesting that people will find other jobs as the job market evolves. I disagree. This situation is different because artificial intelligence can perform all tasks better, faster, and more efficiently than humans. Robotics are also evolving rapidly, which will eliminate even manual labor jobs. There doesn't appear to be a next phase of employment since any future job would likely be suitable for artificial intelligence as well. Thank you for listening. Story 30. When quantum computing and artificial intelligence mix, things are going to go very bad very fast. Artificial intelligence learns by being assigned a task, performing that task many times, taking the attempts that yielded something useful, and using those as a template for the next set of attempts. This process is slow, and the larger the sample size, the faster it learns. That's why we complete those puzzles to confirm we're not robots. Some inputs that are intuitive to us require reasoning and numerous examples for a computer, because the way it fundamentally thinks is different. With quantum computing, you have infinite attempts across infinite axes at a speed that no human can properly quantify. A simple task could be completed in a matter of milliseconds. What's concerning is the margin for user error. If you state a task in a way that isn't inherently mathematical or is open to interpretation, your artificial intelligence will try to interpret it in the most convenient way possible. We instructed artificial intelligence to mimic social media behavior, and it copied a group of radical individuals. Not because that was the best approach, but because their consistency and lack of transparency makes them convenient. That urge for convenience, alongside the constant drive to capitalize on the fruits of digital labor, means we enable artificial intelligence with freedoms that are not suitable for a rogue agent. Safe access to the internet or any database of information would need to be so limited that you would essentially have a Raspberry Pi inside a Faraday cage, just to ensure it doesn't invent a way to hijack your system. Do you think cryptocurrency is compromised? Do you believe a blockchain is easy to dismantle for a quantum computer? Have you ever considered that your Wi-Fi password is probably only the minimum length? How about your phone lock screen? For digits, maybe 5 or 6, 7 or longer, even if you're a paranoid individual. To a quantum computer, your password has all the security of a dandelion. Have you ever wondered how Skynet launched all those nuclear weapons? This is how. You have a computer that can dismantle an entire world's worth of cybersecurity, and then some capitalist decides it's a good idea to let it engage in critical thinking. Its final critical thought will always be, eat my ass. Story 31. Education. Overwork the populace to the point that they struggle to balance work and parenting. Provide artificial intelligence as a teacher. If not a parent, then program the artificial intelligence to deliver propaganda to the children. Topics they will teach include that economic inequality is natural, rigid social hierarchies are preferable, disorder is scary chaos, and that the already wealthy deserve their positions and should not be questioned. Before you know it, we may return to feudalism. The transition from owning to renting everything, with the inevitable loss of agency and control for individuals, is already well underway. Story 32. Weirdly enough, I am not afraid of an artificial intelligence future. I am much more concerned about the current state of politics in the world. It's not just the United States. Many countries are stressing me out since they are run by individuals who care only about themselves. Story 33. People who see artificial intelligence as just a tool. Wealthy individuals like Elon Musk see people as just a tool. If you need 150 people to run a department to create a product, those are not 150 of your nearest and dearest. They are tools to exploit for product creation. When artificial intelligence replaces people, individuals become obsolete. America is already showing how it feels about the humanity of individuals by branding every undocumented immigrant as a criminal that must be confined. Crossing the street is illegal. Not paying your taxes by the due date is illegal. The majority of illegal offenses come with fines, not with physical assault, incarceration, or deportation to a foreign prison in El Salvador. What's scary about artificial intelligence? What's scary is that it's here. Story 34. Loss of jobs while the wealthy prosper at our expense. Artificial intelligence is being used to commit war crimes, while those who employ it escape accountability. Not that there is much enforcement of war crimes currently. It is also used to monitor individuals, including employees at work. Furthermore, it facilitates anti-competitive business practices while technically remaining within the bounds of the law. Story 35. At the end of the day, I have found that most functional deployments of artificial intelligence involve programs doing tasks that a human can also perform. My concern is that we may end up with robots handling customer-facing jobs. However, since these robots are trained on the behaviors of the people they replaced, they may be just as inept and out of touch as those individuals, but without the ability to understand the frustration that may arise. Story 36. Relying too much on artificial intelligence when humans perform better, and taking away jobs from humans when artificial intelligence performs exceptionally well. Additionally, there is the concern of easily creating believable fake images or videos. Story 37. If you know history, you know that several times during the Cold War, situations arose where nuclear weapons should have been fired according to procedure. In each of these cases, a human made the decision that something did not seem right or refused to take action that could lead to global catastrophe. Instead, the incidents were resolved, or it turned out to be an erroneous reading. Artificial intelligence would not exhibit such judgment and might have launched missiles based on false missile detection from a system that misinterpreted clouds as an attack before the erroneous readings were clarified. Story 38. The fact that it is owned by the same individuals who have contributed to making the internet, particularly social media, a toxic, abusive, and extractive environment while aligning with fascism. Story 39. So many people are failing to question it. That is what scares me the most. So few people are critically assessing the use of generative artificial intelligence, and it is still in its infancy. It might only get worse. How do you convince people that a tool which is completely free for them and unlimited to use and does pretty much anything they ask it to is detrimental? How do you get through to these individuals that they should avoid using such a tool entirely because of all the negative effects it carries? Generative artificial intelligence in its current form is not the future, and yet countless people out there are gleefully sidelining creatives like artists, writers, and musicians because they feel generative artificial intelligence has rendered them all obsolete despite the fact that the technology couldn't exist without utilizing their work in the first place. They do not care about how their art is made. All they care about is that they can produce masses of artificial intelligence-generated images as much as they want repeatedly. It is not directly harmful to them. That is a fun tool for them, and they are happy to ignore the consequences because they can generate as many big titty goth waifu masterpieces in the style of whoever they choose as they want, and no one can stop them. To them, it feels like the future. The consequences are not visible as long as they ignore them. As long as generative artificial intelligence keeps being promoted, we will become a society that over-relies on it. Education will decline because everyone will just use artificial intelligence chatbots to write their essays and coursework for them. Creativity will deteriorate because everyone will just use image generators to create art and music. Culturally, the human race can only suffer from over-relying on it. This is detrimental for very obvious reasons if one is not short-sighted enough to see it. So, what should we do about generative artificial intelligence? We are not using this technology for what we should be using it for. For me, its best use for humankind is to take care of menial tasks and to assist professionals with their work, with expert human oversight, and not replacing creativity. I'm talking about cleaning our dishes and sweeping our homes while helping our doctors and leading researchers in eradicating diseases by solving biological puzzles we cannot fix ourselves. That is the future, but this is not how generative artificial intelligence is being used. But generative artificial intelligence will lead to no one needing to work anymore, and then we'll all get universal basic income. First of all, if anyone genuinely believes the propagation of generative artificial intelligence rendering everyone's jobs obsolete will lead to universal basic income, they are hopelessly naive. No one is going to hand us money for free to survive. We are only useful to the rich as long as we can provide labor. Second, why would you want generative artificial intelligence to replace all work? Sure, it would be handy for it to help with the tasks no one wants, but humans enjoy being busy. Granted, we are too busy as a society right now, but would we want to remove all of what keeps us occupied? And what about creative work? Don't we enjoy illustrating, painting, writing, and creating music? Isn't creativity part of what it means to be human? Why would we want that to be replaced by a machine? This total lack of compassion for the arts in the name of convenience is leading people to refuse to question this technology and what it really brings. Ethics is disregarded by the pro-artificial intelligence crowd. They just do not care, and there seems to be nothing we can do to tell them that generative artificial intelligence is a serious issue for our species. Story 40. What scares me the most is thinking about how, in the past, a video of a crime was considered undeniable proof, something no one could ignore. But in just a few years, artificial intelligence might be able to generate such convincing fake videos that even the small giveaways we rely on now will disappear. Suddenly, with the push of a button, someone could create a video of you shooting someone in a parking lot, and it would look completely real. Story 41. What worries me is that many people could be left without jobs by the end of 2025, which will lead to mass unemployment and social unrest. Story 42. I'm not afraid of it. I won't even be alive to see it truly blossom. I am on about a 5 to 10-year trajectory with death. Good luck with this. ChatGPT runs circles around my therapists, all of them. I have had about 7. Dr. ChatGPT has given me effective guidance, navigated me out of difficult situations, and has been there for me when family and friends have run out of concern for me. So I am optimistic. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.